Hello and welcome to an episode of SuperOK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. My name is Dale, and I am joined here by some absolutely breathtaking humans. And I say this because we haven't seen a few of them in a little while, but one we have seen is Brodie. Brodie, how are you?
I am doing great. I am super excited again to have these folks back here for a pretty special episode this week. So, hey, who's up next? Who we got next?
We got a Gannon is here. Gannon, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing well. I'm here. I made it. These boys couldn't do it without me, so they came to me and begged. They said, can you leave your family behind on this wonderful Sunday afternoon and spend some time with us? Because we just don't, the other guest that we have is just not going to pull it, and we don't want to do another 2-man episode. Really, it's like a 1-man episode because he's going to be a negative, so...
Wow. Harsh words for our last voice on the podcast. That's Clay. Clay, welcome back.
Holy shit, boys. I'm here.
Hey, I'm so excited to have you here.
Look at this, huh? I'm here. Hey, Gannon, fuck you. All right? I'm going to do a great goddamn job today. I've been prepping for this. When's the last time I've been on the show? It's been months, probably. I don't know. Hey, I'm back, everybody. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But I meant it when I said, fuck you, Gannon.
We're like 2 minutes into the episode, and it's already the most hostile episode we've had in months.
Well, and you can confirm Clay is going to do a great job because he doesn't have to do a transition.
That's true. That is true.
Brodie. God damn you.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Another thing that I love is that every week on the episode, we do a highlight of our week, which is just a little thing that tells us, what makes their life a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer to live in. And I would love for one of you to go first. Somebody tell me what your highlight of the week is.
No, Brodie doesn't get to go first. I get to go first. I'm on the show this week, Brodie. Yeah, that's right. Me. Here's my highlight of the week. I actually have a pretty, guys, I'm just going to take a moment. We're going to get a little serious, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. We're going to come back to the craziness, but just for a moment, just so everybody knows, everybody's listening to this. I know that we've got a lot of regular listeners, everybody in this room. I love them dearly. They're all very close friends of mine. Been dealing with some pretty bad depression for like the last year or so. And I've taken some time off of the show and taken some time off of other things in my life to really kind of hone in and figure out what that was. And this week I sat down in a Panera Bread, a local Panera Bread. Go to Panera Bread. It's delicious, with my wife. And I came clean about some personal things that I've struggled with for a long time. And I had no clue that these were the things that were just destroying me on a daily basis mentally. And since I have spoken to her, it is like I've had the biggest weight lifted off of my chest. Like I can breathe again. I'm waking up with energy again. I'm eating better again. I'm like getting more stuff done around the house. I'm motivated. I'm going back to school soon. Like I'm just like, I feel happy, like genuinely, honest to God, happy for the first time in years. And it feels so good. And it's been a wonderful week. Doesn't mean everything is fixed. Doesn't mean that everything's just going to be fine. And, I'm not shitting rainbows, but I'm feeling more and more like myself lately. And it's wonderful. And when this episode came up, the idea of like recording it again, I was like, oh my God, yes, I want to get on the pod with the fellas. This is great. I wish Mel was here. Hi, Mel. Miss you dearly, but I'm so happy to be back, and it's been a great week, and I do feel a lot better. So that's my highlight. I feel better, boys. I feel better.
That's just two quick things. One, this episode is not sponsored by Panera Bread, so don't go there.
Wait, they can still go there just because it's not sponsored by Panera Bread.
Okay, fair enough. And then two, this makes me so happy, man. There's that old saying about how honesty and sincerity are the path towards clarity. And I'm so glad that you're on that path. And that just warms my heart. So I'm glad for you.
Yeah, man,
glad,
that also makes me extremely happy. Like, I know that you've been through a lot over the last year or so, and so to be in a better place that's amazing.
Also,
Gannon,
I
do you
said
have
that's an old
anything?
saying, but I just Googled it and no one's ever said it before. So that's mine, baby.
Well, you're
Oh,
old,
man.
so it's coming from an old place. So I guess it works. Gannon, do you have anything nice to say to me?
Good job. I'm
Thanks,
proud
buddy.
of you.
Thank you.
And
It means a lot.
about damn time.
All right.
Oh, Lizzo quote. I love it.
There it is. Speaking of things that make me happy, Brodie makes me happy, and I'd like to hear about his week. How do you like that for a transition, Brodie? How do you like that shit, huh? Transitioned into your fucking highlights, son. I'm back.
All right.
Back, baby.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So I had, so this past week I had the opportunity to get up north. Our family has a summer home that's up in the northern Michigan area. And it's like a pastime of people in Michigan to go up to their lake house or whatever. And so we had just kind of opened our lake house for the season and started doing some cleaning and getting ready for, hopefully spending some time up there over the summer. And it's just always so nice up there. Even if the lake is still frozen over or stuff like that. It's just really nice. It's also like obscenely quiet up there, which is cool too. But we were doing some stuff. I bought my first dock, which is a wild thing to think of. I had to go talk to a guy and purchase a dock. But I will say
You
that
don't have
we
a
were up
switch
there,
dock?
Yeah.
no, this is a boat dock. This is for like human feet and boats. Although if you take the boat on the dock, then they won't cover that under warranty, I learned. But one of the things that we did while we were up there is, and to set the scene for this, so a couple weeks back, Mel was in the Discord and she was playing a game and it said that she was playing this game called Wobbly Life. And I'm like, the fuck is this? And so I pulled it up on Steam and I looked at it and I'm like, this looks extremely goofy. I'm kind of interested in it. And I showed Meredith the game and she was like, okay, I really want to play this. Wobbly Life is what I could describe as a combination of Grand Theft Auto and Human Fall Flat, where you can play with like up to 4 people in your game and you just do like various jobs and stuff to get money to buy cars and pets and other stuff like that. But the game is so fucking silly. So you'll be doing something where you're like, oh, I've got to take a bag full of tomatoes that I harvested to a restaurant, but the car that I'm taking is too small. So Meredith has to stand on the roof of the car and hold the bag of tomatoes while I drive and try not to kill us both and get us to the restaurant to take in the tomatoes. It's been shockingly fun to play. And it's like this just goofy little silly, like $11 game, but we played a ton of it up north and it made me happy. Mel, you are batting 1,000 here on recommendations. That's a really fun one. So thank you. Shout out to Mel for the recommendations. A fun game.
How small is the car / how many tomatoes was it?
Well, maybe that's not the best example. I will say that I was once driving a truck full of like giant cauliflowers. And the cauliflowers kept flying out of the back because it was like a pickup truck. And so Mare had to like stop. We had to stop every like 5 feet and throw the cauliflowers back in the truck because I kept like running into shit because I'm terrible at driving. And so like that's maybe a better example, but we had to take all kinds of vegetables like all over the place in that game if we do farming missions. It's just so silly because it has the same like ragdoll physics. Again, it's like Human Fall Flat where you're just like this fucking noodle boy and you're just like grabbing stuff. It's hilarious.
Can you do that again? This is an audio medium, but can you?
I'm just flapping his arms around
my
like
inner,
a real
like,
noodle boy.
Fucking used car dealership.
Oh, Wacky Weaving and Flittle on 2-man.
Yeah, that thing.
All right, I love it.
So
I'm going to go next. And the reason I'm going to go next is because yesterday I went to see the D&D movie with Ange and Tubbs, both sides, Matt and Tommy, and I love all of those dudes almost as much as I love the 1.5 pound pretzel that I ate during the trailers. It didn't even make it to the movie. I put that thing away. It was rough. The movie was absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it. I think you'll enjoy it. I think everyone will enjoy it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a great movie. And then if you also happen to be a D&D person, it's like, oh, there's like little extra fun things in it. I don't want to spoil any of them, but I would be happy to talk about them in the TV and movies channel in the Discord with you. Because, man, I got a lot of thoughts about this movie. It's pretty damn good. From like a rules standpoint, I've been playing D&D for, I don't know, like 25, 30 years or something crazy like that. And they were real good about all of the stuff. There's like 3 things where it's like, maybe they took some liberties for the sake of fun movie. But outside of that, it was like dead on, just a really fun adventure film. Cannot recommend it enough. And if you have a D&D group that you've been playing with for years, like I did, bring them with you and it'll be even more fun.
Dale, I've got just one question, because I don't want to ruin the movie for myself either. But one thing that I've always thought D&D excelled at was creating organic comedy. And whenever people think about Dungeons and Dragons that aren't into the game, they think of it as this overly serious, dark thing, like, oh, it's for the devil. And from what I've seen in the trailer, it seems like they've really leaned into the fun of just getting with your friends, using your imagination, and letting things run wild in a way that's more whimsical, lighthearted, and fun than it is overly emotional and serious. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody get like super, weepy eyed during D&D. You just crack up because, I don't know, like your cousin got eaten by a blob or whatever the fuck, right? Like, So I'm just curious if the movie does lean into that, or if I'm a little off based on the trailer.
No, you are not wrong at all. Actually, one of the things that I think is is one of the strengths of this film is that it is a serious world that doesn't take itself too seriously, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right?
Does.
So everything that's funny in the film is like they're just, it's a thing where it's like, this is a thing that makes sense in the world, but because the world is ridiculous, it's like funny to the viewer, but it's not funny to the characters, right? It's just like, this is the world we live in. This is the thing that would happen, But there are some like really good, like I don't want to say situational comedy, but it's like the situations that the characters get into is so insane. And then it's like, for them, they're just like, oh yeah, this is just how the world is. And for you, it's like, oh, all right, that's actually pretty funny, So
cool. I'm excited to see it.
And I don't want to ruin anything, but there are some parts where it's like, all right, that's fucking brilliant. So yeah, really enjoyable. Gannon, what is your highlight of the week?
So I've obviously been gone a lot, spending a lot of time with family. And my highlight of the week comes from last week, where we went to the Sherwood Forest Fair. It's a little Ren festival here. And took the kids, and just like getting to experience my kids kind of growing up and seeing things and enjoying things together is really cool. Like Charlie got like her own first little wooden sword, and she was slaying monsters because she's been watching me and Clay play a lot of Monster Hunter and games of that ilk. And she just like wants to play. She holds a controller and she's like points out the monsters. So she was having a blast doing that, and it's really fun to watch them grow up. I'm actually taking her to her first movie next week. Just her and I. We're going to go see a movie that comes out next week. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a Chris Pratt movie. It's
one of the dinosaur ones.
Yeah, there's a dinosaur in it, I think.
Oh, okay. Because those are the ones he's known for, right?
Yeah. Those ones. Or yeah, he jumps around. He wears red. So
he wears red in this one?
Yeah. Is that Star-Lord? No.
Yeah.
No. I'm blanking on the name. Can anybody help me out?
Yeah, I think I can help you out. You're talking about Super Mario.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
You're going with just Charlie. That's going to be so fun.
Yeah, we're going to go just she and I, and then Bridget's going to take her to Little Mermaid when it comes out later. So I'm going to get this movie and she's going to get Little Mermaid. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's absolutely awesome. That's great. Speaking of Super Mario, we oftentimes sing the praises of the legendary career of Shigeru I can't talk. I can't talk.
He fucking handed that to you. He handed that to you with a bow on it. And you dropped it. And you took a shit all over it. Yeah, Brodie. You're right. I'm the reason. Yeah, I'm the bad one with transitions. Get out of here, Brodie. Get out of here.
Sorry, I botched it. I don't know how to read. Shigeru Miyamoto here at SuperOK. Nothing has been more essential to his vision and legacy than a figure originally known as Jumpman in the 1981 release of Donkey Kong. Originally, Miyamoto was looking to secure the rights for characters from the Popeye franchise, but he had to create his own new character who's based on the landlord for Nintendo of America's warehouse, whose name was Mario Segal. And he had a huge argument with Nintendo of America about back rent that resulted in his name being used in the game. I think it's safe to say that Mario would go on to far surpass the Popeye IP, as it is now, in fact, the top-selling video game franchise of all time, with nearly 900 million Mario games sold.
That's crazy.
The years would go on, and we'd learn more about Mario's immediate family, his friends, his enemies, his eating habits, his giant shoe, his adventures as he traverses the Mushroom Kingdom to protect the habitual human trafficking target, Princess Peach, against a pretty poor human trafficker and snapping turtle, Bowser. He has also been portrayed on your TV by Captain Lou Albano, Bob Hoskins, and voiced by Charles Martinet for a very, very long time. Today, ahead of the release of his latest animated movie and Charlie's first movie, we are celebrating the career of Nintendo's least successful plumber and most successful mustache, Mario. That's right, a name so nice we had to say it twice. Alternatively, let's just talk about where did we first encounter Mario? Was it in Donkey Kong? And if so, did we know it was Mario?
Look, when it comes to transitions, is this your king? Is this your,
Sorry, I fucked up a name.
Do you want to start that? We're on the redemption tour. Let's not start that right now.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Yikes.
No, Brodie, no. I'm back. I'm going in. I'm going in hard. I'm here for blood. Right? No, I actually don't know. I don't know what my first Mario game was.
Are you kidding me? You come at me that hot and then you take the first question?
I'm gonna guess it's the NES, like the original Mario Bros. But I will say that I have a first vivid memory of Mario. It's whenever I think of Mario, like as a kid, I just remember my uncle thought he was this, like he was hot shit because he showed me. It's like, I'm gonna pick up this turtle. I'm gonna walk over to the steps. I'm gonna throw him at the steps, and we get infinite lives. And I remember as a kid, like, whoa, my uncle's so smart. He just like read it in Nintendo Power, probably. Like, my uncle's an idiot. Like, I've met him. He did not just figure that out.
Also, you can't pick up turtle shells in the first one.
Oh, not okay. He didn't pick it up, but if you follow the turtle or something like that,
they're on the steps. You can do it.
Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
3-2 or something. 4
as he's coming down the steps. Yeah, that's right. So sorry, Dale. I didn't. Yeah, you can't pick it up. Whatever.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you got to come at me, I get to come back.
That's fine. But yeah, I don't know. That's my answer.
I definitely remember what my first exposure to Mario was, and it was Donkey Kong on the Intellivision. But I had no idea that it was Mario, because if you look at a screenshot of the Intellivision version of Donkey Kong, you will notice that it is ass. It looks terrible. Donkey Kong is like huge and green and just looks like a blob with a smile. Like, it's bad.
Dude, you're not kidding. I didn't know this existed.
I linked it in the show notes. It looks like ass.
Holy shit.
I'm going to have to look this up too. Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Dude, look at, can we talk about Peach? Is that Peach at the top? The Zora looking fucking
that
thing?
That is E.T. is what that is.
It's E.T. It looks like E.T.
I like how the parasol is an anchor. It's like an upside down anchor. Like,
and shout out to the fireball that straight up just looks like a sea monkey.
Yep. It's great. If you guys didn't play on television, you're welcome.
Yeah, dude, this is bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. I mean, so similarly, I would have played Donkey Kong in the Atari. I don't remember it being that awful. I don't think it was.
It wasn't. It was much better.
Yeah. So I definitely didn't know it was Mario at the time, obviously, because it was way before it. But I don't think I knew it was Mario in the game until I probably was in my 20s, to be honest. But aside from that, I mean, it was just the original Mario Brothers, just a classic. Grew up with that on NES. I think I had the hybrid that and the Duck Hunt cartridge, right? Wasn't there one of those that was around? Could have sworn there was. Maybe I'm making shit up.
No, it was a pack-in. It came with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and the Zapper, all in the NES box.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I had.
And then later on, there was another version where it also included Track and Field and the Power Pad.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'm a lot younger than all these old people, which is why I've been brought on the episode. My first Mario was Super Mario Land on the Game Boy. Released in 1989. A great year, perfect vintage, and that's the game I played. It was I played that one in Mario 2 before I ever touched it on a console. Super Mario Land 2. So
cool.
I remember Super Mario Land. That's a fun game.
It was great.
Yeah.
Turn into a rabbit and float for some reason. Nobody knows why. All right, so let's talk about the early days of Mario. Donkey Kong to Mario 2. What are your experiences there? What do you got?
Clayton's apparently not coming out for blood this question, so I'll go ahead and go first. So for me, I mean, again, I played all these games to greater or lesser degrees. I think that the one that stuck out the most to me, and I don't think I ever, like to this day, I don't think I've ever beaten the original Mario Brothers, which is kind of par for the course for me. I never finish games. But Mario 2, I did play a lot of, and I remember just the quirkiness of it, kind of the level design, the music to this day, I still will whistle the music from Mario 2. It's extremely catchy. But yeah, great games, the early ones for sure. I mean, this was a franchise that started great and only got better. This is what more can you say about this franchise?
You never beat the original Super Mario Bros? So. It's like a 45-minute game.
You know what? I take that back. I probably have, because I remember doing the bridge scene with Bowser. I had to have beaten it, I guess.
I love referring to it as the bridge scene. Like the screen where he's on. Okay, got it.
And you got to grab the axe, right?
That's Brodie. Have you ever played the? Yes, that's the yes, yeah. Are you?
I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Played it.
Did you beat 2? Did you beat the frog?
Probably not.
The frog with the pipes?
Probably not. No, probably not. But I enjoyed my time with it.
Okay. Well, that's good. I like the music from 2 too. And actually 2 was mine. I remember that game fondly. Didn't really play Donkey Kong. Maybe I played it, but I don't really remember it. The first Super Mario Brothers, like I said, I don't know. That's like my first vivid memory of Mario. But the first Mario game that I remember falling in love with was the second one. And it was, like when you have those, I don't know about you guys, but me and my cousins, when we grew up together, we would go over to my grandparents' house. They had an SNES, and we would just take turns playing that game. When one of us would die, we'd pass the controller, so on and so forth. That game, I have a lot of fond memories of doing that with. And I remember we beat it as like a group. And when we beat it, like we were cheering and, shouting, and we were super pumped. What a weird ass game. That's a weird ass game. We've talked about it on the podcast many times, but I absolutely love it. Super Mario 2 is my jam. And yes, the music. It's so good, man.
So good.
It is. It's amazing. It is definitely an acid trip of a video game, though.
It is.
I remember that there was a pizza place near my house that had a Mario Brothers arcade cabinet. Not Super Mario Brothers, the platforming game that we all know and love, but the weird game where enemies come out of pipes at the top of the screen. It's one screen, nothing moves around, and you have to hit them from below and then jump on top of them to kill them. It was later used in Super Mario 3 as like a versus thing, but it was definitely a quarter eater. I used to love to just play that anytime we went there. I also want to highlight Donkey Kong Jr., which is interesting because it is a game that flips the script on the original Donkey Kong, and in it Mario has captured Donkey Kong. You play as Donkey Kong's kid, Donkey Kong Jr., and you have to defeat Mario, and it's one of the few cases I can think of where Mario is the bad guy in a game.
Fair.
So I just kind of wanted to call out the fact that early on, it was like, it wasn't a situation where it was like Mario is the hero, Mario's the mascot. It was almost like a situation where it's like, oh, we have all of these different characters and they'll slot into whatever spot we need them to, you know, almost like Shakespearean as opposed to like, or not Shakespearean, earlier than that. You know, like where there's archetypes of characters and Mario was just like an archetype. And so they could put him as the villain early on. And they haven't done that since, as far as I can tell, in my research. So I just thought that was interesting.
Like DK is like in a cage.
Yeah.
In this game. It's crazy.
No, that's a great call. I definitely, the only thing I remember about DK Jr. was the like shimmying up the vines. You did so much of that in Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, never touched Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr., to be honest. My experience of them is like the Pixel movie, where I learned that Adam Sandler's the best Donkey Kong player of all time. Yeah, for me, a lot of these older ones. Yeah, a lot of these older ones. I just played like Clay did through the Super Mario All-Stars SNES cart, and like they gave you all those old games and played through them later. But it was a game. I didn't own it. My cousins owned it. So like when they would go to bed and I was still awake, I would play the games, but not a ton of experience. Like I said, most of mine is all on Game Boy. Super Mario Land was my shit.
Was that okay? Was Super Mario Land the 6 golden coins?
That's Super Mario Land 2.
That's
6 golden coins. Yeah.
Right.
That's where we first get Wario.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Super Mario Land 3, which is a Wario game, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
And just real quick, going back to the thing you said about the best Donkey Kong player out there, I will put a shout out to the King of Kong documentary. If anybody hasn't seen that, it's absolutely worth a watch. Fistful of Quarters. It's a lot of fun. It's about the showdown between Steve Wiebe and what was the other guy's name?
Billy Mitchell. What a
Billy
fucking
Mitchell back in like the late 90s, and it's really something else. It's a lot of fun.
Billy
Highly
Mitchell's an
recommend
asshole.
Yes.
I'll say that forever.
Correct.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Watch the movie. You'll agree with me. Like, if you don't know who Billy Mitchell is, just like, man, Clay's being really mean. No. Go watch that movie.
Watch King of Kong.
Fuck
that hot
guy.
sauce asshole. Fuck him.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on. There were a bunch of Mario spin-off titles in the 90s. Things like Mario Teaches Typing, Mario's Time Machine, Mario's Game Gallery. We don't have it listed here, but there was definitely also Mario or Hotel Mario. Have you guys played any of them? And if so, what are your thoughts? And I actually want to talk about this first because I definitely tried to play Mario Teaches Typing, but I do not have the part of my brain that lets me touch type. So I was absolutely ass at it, which frustrated young me to no end because I was like really good at Mario. Like I could beat it in like one life, like that sort of shit. And then like everyone gathered around the computer in my family to watch me play this new Mario game. And it was like, fuck, I'm in a pit. Fuck, I'm eaten by a piranha. Fuck. Like it was just like terrible. And also I was like 9 or 10, so I couldn't even swear. So it was a real bummer of an experience. I also want to highlight one of my favorites from this, which was Mario versus Donkey Kong on the Game Boy that came out, which was like this weird puzzle game where you had to like try and escape from different levels. That was
that
just
the
really
minis
cool.
one?
That was a different one, but that game was also awesome. Where it's basically like robotic Marios that you were trying to get out of levels. It was kind of like a Lemmings clone. Yeah, that one was also great.
Okay, different game.
There were a lot of cool, weird games from this time frame where Nintendo was just like, we're going to make this, but we're going to put Mario Picross was really cool. Like, there's a bunch of weird shit.
Dr. Mario. That's the only real spin-off that I can think of that's not like a true side-scrolling Mario game that I played. Now that I'm like thinking more about this, but Dr. Mario was definitely my shit. Yeah, but from like a typing perspective, the only one that really sticks out of my brain is Type of the Dead, which was released on the Dreamcast. That's the only one that I can like when I'm thinking of games like this. It just keeps popping in my head.
A system that famously did not come with a keyboard.
Yeah,
correct.
I will also say I totally forgot about Dr. Mario. And I've discovered that game later, like in college. And I played that game in college, and then I played what's the one, the Mean Bean Machine? That's
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah. So in college, like me and my friend John just kind of got into these weird, like Yoshi's Cookie or something like that.
Yoshi's Cookie was one.
And like we just got into these sort of like obtuse puzzle games back in that era. And I remember Dr. Mario being my favorite of all of the ones that we had tried. Gannon, that's a good call out. Other than that, I can't, or I wrote down that I love the screenshots from these weird ass games. And I wrote down that there's like screenshots of like Mario or Luigi in like a museum or some shit. And I don't know what game I'm thinking of, but I know it exists. It's like Mario and Luigi are in the real world, like a history kind of a thing. Does anybody in here know what I'm talking about or no? Is my brain completely making
that's
this
probably
up?
Mario is missing.
Oh, dude, maybe that's it.
Because that was like a weird Carmen Sandiego style game where it was like Mario got like left and went to somewhere in the world.
Yeah, it looks like Luigi's just like in London in this screenshot. Just like, what the fuck is going on? Dale, good call. That's it. I never played this game. I just remember like seeing screenshots from these different weird spinoffs, and I always thought that they were absolutely, because all it is just them being like, all right, how can we make more money? And then just throwing Mario on anything that they could possibly throw Mario on. But I never played any of these really. Dr. Mario is probably the only one, and I discovered that way later.
And it's interesting because this was the time frame when people were like, oh, video games, like in order to make them worthwhile, we have to like make them educational. So they came out with all these edutainment games that were like not really games and also not really educational. And so like Nintendo was like, yeah, let me get on that. Another shout out to a weird ass game that I just remembered, Mario Paint on the Super NES. Which unlike Typing of the Dead, which did not come with a keyboard, Mario Paint came with a mouse for your Super Nintendo. And you would use that to like paint on the Super NES and compose music and all this other weird shit. It was barely a game, but it was amazing.
Hell yeah. I spent a ton of time. It's such a great call. I spent a ton of time playing Mario Paint. I can't believe I forgot about it. But yeah, that's a great call. I definitely play Dr. Mario. Mario Teaches Typing for sure. I had the classic elder millennial experience of installing it on like 10 floppy disks on my Mac back in the day. And it made me realize that I have a weird as shit way to type, where if you're following along at home, from my left hand to my right, I put my fingers on the caps lock key, A, S, and D on one hand, and then N, K, L, and then the semicolon on the other. It's a really weird way, but that's my like home set of typing. That's how my hands sit when I type. So clearly Mario Teaches Typing didn't work.
What are you doing with that left-hand pinky? What's that thing's story?
Caps lock.
I don't know. I don't know what it's doing.
You just said it. Here, Brodie, I'll raise you one on that. And I've got two people, I've got two employees now at work that can back me up on this. I type with 3 fingers, my index finger on my left hand and my index finger and my middle finger on my right hand. And I type fast as fuck. Like I type so fast.
And this is all you use?
Yes. And the reason why is because when I was a kid, I had to teach myself, because like, that's a whole long story. I taught myself how to type. And so, you know, how, like when you first teach yourself how to type, it's just index fingers all day, baby. Just poke, 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 poke. Well, I just elevated that to 85 to 100 words a minute.
Okay.
And so I just
that's amazing. Okay.
I type my dick off with these 3 fingers. All right. So Brodie, you're not that weird, bud.
Okay.
I'm weird.
Okay.
No, you're both weird. That's just
So it sounds like Mario failed all of us when it comes to teaching typing.
Well, I think I just didn't play the games, so I fucked up, I think.
I mean, I did, and I still can't type, so whatever.
Same.
So he fucked up there. However, his mid area, his middle time frame
between his knees and his middle area
has some absolute bangers. You've got Mario 3, you've got Super Mario World. What are your experiences there?
This is that time of year where I always get to repeat one of my worst takes ever, which is that I haven't played Super Mario World. I understand it's one of the best video games of all times. I understand I need to play it. I have not played it. I did play a lot of Mario 3 though, a lot back in the day. So that was a game I can remember beating. I remember the fucking airship levels were the bane of my existence, but I still played them through. I still saw it through, but I acknowledge that Super Mario World is a wonderful video game, maybe one of the best of all times.
Even though you've never played it.
Correct.
Brodie's just like, I don't want to get yelled at, so sure, it's a masterpiece.
Well, there's just enough, like when 95% of the people that you talk to about video games are like, Super Mario World is one of the greatest games of all times, I'm willing to just concede it on face.
Well, okay. I think one of the reasons why it's held in such high regard is because Super Mario World 3, Super Mario
Brothers 3.
Super Mario Brothers 3, thank you. That was like the perfection of an era, right? Like it was the apex of design on a system that already had an incredible library of games for its time, and Mario was already kind of a beloved, franchise. Super Mario World, I think, ushered in a new era, but it didn't do it the way that Super Mario 64 did it, where like it didn't feel limited by the technology. It felt like it was already perfecting it, and it was brand new tech, not like the 16-bit thing, right? Like we hadn't played a Mario game like that. But that game, to this day, if it were to come out today, would be considered a very solid, well-made, good controls, decent length, decent challenge, balance. It's just such a timeless game that no matter who you are, I think you can enjoy it, even if it's not up to today's standards in a lot of ways. So I think that one of the reasons why it's so beloved is because it should have just been fine because it was ushering in a new console and all of these things, but it wasn't. It was a masterclass in game design for a new platform, which they're allowed to not have a masterclass in game design for a new platform, right? Like the growing pains and all that shit.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Honestly, I do. I think because a lot of times a system comes out and the games are like tech demos, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, I remember PlayStation came out and there were like 13 launch games and 6 of them sucked. And on the Super NES, Mario was the game that it came with, right? Like it was a pack in and it was amazing. It's probably the best Super Nintendo game out there, right? Like you can make arguments for others, but like I like other games better, but from an objective standpoint, it's probably the best Super Nintendo game. It's probably the best Super Mario game, right? It's just wild. I loved Super Mario 3. I actually remember this one year during the summer, we stayed with my older half brother. My siblings and I were trying to 100% Super Mario Brothers 3. And we had spent the whole night getting to 99 lives using a castle that was like filled with blocks and a P-switch. So you had like infinite coins. So we'd like go in there, collect all the coins, die, like get 10 lives or something and do that over and over and over again until we get to 99 lives. And then the next morning we were like eating breakfast or getting ready for something or whatever. And I accidentally tripped on the Nintendo and I unplugged it and ruined our progress and thusly the entire vacation. So yeah, that was a total bummer. And I don't know why they didn't have a save feature in that game. Other games had save feature. Mario 3 was long enough. It probably should have had a save feature. But that's the only flaw I can find in that game. Like otherwise that game also totally ruled.
Yeah, I'm going to take a hot take here. I like Super Mario Bros. 2 more. I loved being able to play as the different people, right? That's Super Mario Bros. And like that was the one that I always gravitated more towards of those. But I will echo the sentiments that Super Mario World is just it's it's great. I mean, Yoshi, that's enough right there, right? Yoshi, they brought in a new character in the series and then made an iconic character that lasted forever. And that's, I think he is a big part of why Super Mario World is so good, because they expanded on what was already there and they took that extra feature of like, okay, we're going to add in Yoshi and made an entire series off of him, right? You get Yoshi's Island, you got Yoshi's Safari, you get all this other stuff too. And I think we start to see they really encompass the word world there, and they start expanding on the franchise as a whole. And I think that's the launching point from everything else onwards of like a lot of these. I mean, you do have some weird creatures that like have made things come back since then, but I think like Super Mario 64 is built more on Super Mario World than anything else.
And it just also had so much, like when you're climbing the fence and you punch the fence and it pushes you to the other side of the fence, like those kinds of things were so incredible back then, because you weren't able to interact with environments that way. And then you would go through a level and play it one way, and then you would unlock that color block, and then it'd be like, hey, all the blocks of that color are filled in now. And as a kid, you're like, holy shit, like, okay, so what happens if I go back to that one level? Now all of a sudden it opens up a whole new path in that level because that block is there now. It just felt like like the world title in that game title is so accurate for when it came out. It was one of the first games I ever played as a kid that it didn't feel like a compartmentalized experience from level to level, even though it had levels. It felt like I was exploring this world and interacting with it and changing the way that it was mapped out and having an impact on it, finding the secret star levels and finding the secret paths to these different levels that aren't even on the map. You don't even know they exist until you find the secret path to open them up, and then you go there. Like, it just felt so magical and alive and brimming with possibility back then. It's truly a special game. I think Super Mario World is one of the greatest games ever made. Didn't really play Super Mario Brothers 3 that much. Thought it was good. Still think it's a good game. I played Super Mario Brothers 2 way more. I'm kind of with Gannon on that, but I don't think Super Mario Brothers 3 isn't a masterpiece. I totally get its place in time in the history of video gaming. It's not ubiquitous with my childhood or anything. I'm much more of a world guy, if you couldn't tell.
I will say as a quick note here before we move on that was also the start of the overworld map system, was in these two games that they ended up using for every Mario game from there on out. And it really was a good way to kind of incorporate the difference between just stages, just those isolated levels, like you're saying, and like a broader experience. Like I know that in the one that had the cat suit, it escapes me at the moment, but you could actually find coins and other stuff there you could do hidden levels and stuff by exploring the overworld. You wouldn't have that without what these games started, the overworld map.
When you're traveling and then there's a hammer bro in your way and it goes into a separate fight, right? It just did such a good job of making you feel like you're on an adventure. Both of these games did. But what World did to that formula, I think, made it much more special for me as a kid. So
before we move on, I also want to shout out Gannon talked about Yoshi. How crazy was it that Super Mario World also introduced all of the different colored Yoshis that had different abilities when they were holding a shell in their mouth? It's like, they didn't have to do that.
No,
that's just so insane.
Yeah, that so feels fun. Like the sequel, right? And that's what I mean. It's just there's so much in that game that did not have to exist and it still would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love World. Huge fan. I'm going to go play it.
So moving on to the third dimension, in 1996, Mario made the jump to 3D with Mario 64 and officially kicked off the 3D platforming genre. This was followed by some excellent games like Mario Sunshine, Galaxy 1 and 2, and eventually Mario Odyssey. Let's talk about our experiences. And I'm actually going to start first because I skipped Mario 64. I never owned a Nintendo 64. And I have tried to go back and play Mario 64, and it just does not work. I really think you had to be there in the moment. That said, I've enjoyed all of the other 3D Marios. And if I had to rank them, my order is Sunshine is number 1 on my list. Then it's Odyssey. Then it's Galaxy 1 and then 2. I love Sunshine so much on the GameCube. It was just absolutely awesome. And I know that that's a bad take, so I want to hear what your guys' opinions are.
So I actually think that's an interesting call on Mario 64, but I definitely understand it. A lot of those games are hard to go back to now just because of the advancements in camera control and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, if we look at all these games, with the exception of maybe Odyssey, they were kind of they struggled a little bit with like camera control, especially the Galaxy games. However, I love those games just dearly. But anyways, Mario 64, I've said it on the pod before that like I had a buddy of mine that lived down the street, and he would come over and we'd spend like sleep over for a couple nights, and we'd spend the weekend just trying to beat Mario 64 and get like the 120 stars, and try and do it in a whole weekend. And like I have such fond memories of that game. And I just remember like, you know, when you're playing and you're younger, you see like everything you experience a little bit differently. So even the castle grounds and you're running around, like for the time it felt really lush and it felt really, you know, like vibrant relative to the other stuff that was out there. So I just have nothing but love for Mario 64. But to Dale's point, will I go back and play it ahead of any of those other ones? Probably not. I do admittedly need to spend more time with Sunshine. I played like maybe 5 to 10 hours of it, and I enjoyed my time, but I just haven't played enough. I loved Galaxy 1 and 2. I played the absolute shit out of those. I got everything there was to get. I did the grand finale galaxies in those. And those were ones that I thought had wonderful co-op, especially Galaxy 2 had a really great co-op system. Meredith loved playing it because you could interact just enough with the enemies to make it like a rich experience without getting in the way. So that was great. Dale, I know that you have talked in the past about your experience with playing Odyssey with Anja's hat. Or is it Cap? I can't remember. But
well, his name's Cappy, but she called it Hat.
Hat, right? But I am on record several times as saying I think Odyssey is the pinnacle of Mario games. I think it's the best Mario game that exists. Have it with the asterisk from not having played Super Mario World. I think Odyssey is such a celebration of everything that Mario has ever been, and it all culminates. That's what I kind of got emotional during the like festival scene that you have, where it just goes through the history of Mario. It was so cool. And so my rankings of these are probably going to be Odyssey. It's going to be Galaxy 2, and then probably Mario 64, Galaxy 1. And then I just am not going to put Sunshine in the rankings. I just haven't played enough of it. Again, I enjoyed what I played. I just haven't played enough.
Yeah, I'm like reflecting back on this question. I really didn't touch the 3D Mario world. Well, to be clear, I'm saying words that are titles of games that I didn't mean to. Super Mario 3D World I did touch, and I like that one. And I don't know if it counts as a 3D Mario or not, right? The one that was on the Wii U, and then it was the one on the Wii U. Like so, like that coming back into it later. I would say that's been my favorite of the 3D Marios, the Super Mario World 3D World and Super Mario 3D Land. I've enjoyed that because I thought that they did really well in playing in the like level world that we've had in the past. Going back and playing the other ones, and maybe it's just a place of time sort of thing. I 64 is great. I think there's it did some great things, but it's not. Like I think Dale has said, it doesn't really work going back to it. Sunshine, I did enjoy my experience, but that was the first time I played it was on stream. That was like my first stream game. And I really did enjoy that experience. But like some of the camera stuff, I think is usually my biggest problem with a lot of these 3D Marios that I've and World and a 3D World and 3D Land kind of take that over because there's not as much camera control, and I do appreciate that more. So I don't feel like I fight the camera as much in those games. Odyssey is great. I think Nintendo did some really interesting things with the Switch and making both Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and kind of redefining their two of their big titular story or big franchises. It doesn't always feel like a Mario game to me, though. And that's something I think it's a great game, but it doesn't always feel like a Mario game to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
it does this thing of feeling both like a Mario game and not like a Mario game. That's it. It's kind of everything at once, and that might not appeal. And by the way, just a note, because I did forget to include 3D World on this list. Bowser's Fury was a great addition to it. It was actually a really cool little like side game, if you will, that was onto that. I really enjoyed my time with Bowser's Fury as well.
I haven't actually. I didn't end up finishing that one.
Yeah, same. All right, so I guess I'm the only one in here, but I remember the magical moment of N64, Super Mario 64. I remember what it was like, because this was a Christmas morning present thing for me, right? So those moments for you, if you have ever had them in the world of video games during like big milestone moments, they're really special. And I remember Mario 64 was this experience of combining the music with the visuals, with the experience of walking into like you see the castle, and it's funny now, it looks like a toy castle today, but back then it looked like a massive fucking castle, and you walk in and it kind of funnels you to the only door that you're able to open, and then it's just this big room with a painting, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck, okay. And then you walk up to the painting. I just remember walking up and bumping into the painting against the wall because I didn't know to jump into it. As a kid, I wasn't watching commercials and shit of Mario jumping into the painting or whatever, and it rippled. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I jumped into it, and then it was a level, and I was like, dude, what is this game? Like, everything about it at the time was so unbelievable from the perspective of the jump that we had prior to it. And if you take nostalgia out of it, it's the last game on my list. But if you let me use nostalgia for the list, it's number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Like, because of how incredible it was for me as a kid to go through this experience of like finding the booze house, jumping into a clock tower, the fucking carpet ride level in there. So I could go on. I could do a whole podcast about Mario 64 and how much it meant to me as a kid. But I think it's a shitty game now. And I think it's a shitty game from like a controls perspective and a camera perspective, a visuals perspective. But Dale, you say things like something had to walk so something else could run. Nothing else that we're talking about now would even have the chance to breathe if that game wasn't given the chance to walk. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that game is so important in the landscape of video games. And I'm sad that it hasn't held up, because I remember what it was like, but if you didn't play it when it came out, goddamn, it's not a very good game. It just isn't a very good game now. It controls like shit. So my list, without nostalgia, everything else you guys have already said, I'm not going to rehash any of it. Galaxy is my number 1, and then it would be Odyssey. And then honestly, I'm going to be honest, just kind of everything else. Maybe Sunshine's next. I don't know. Like the rest of them, I like all of them. I don't dislike a single 3D Mario game. But mine is the first one is Galaxy. For me, I absolutely fucking loved that game. So yeah, that's my list. But also, huge shout out 64. Thank you for enhancing my childhood. I appreciate it.
Thanks for making Clay who he is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for making Ocarina of Time.
Thank you for making Ocarina of Time, so I can tell everybody how bad that game is for the rest of time. Okay, go ahead, Dale.
Again, another game where you just kind of had to be there.
Yup.
So despite making the jump to 3D, Nintendo continued to make 2D Mario platformers like New Super Mario Bros., Mario Maker, Super Mario Run. Have you guys checked those out?
No. I'm just going to be honest. Not really. Most of them escaped me. Played Mario Maker. Love Mario Maker way more than I should, but that's it. The others have kind of escaped me.
Yeah, New Super Mario World and anything in that ilk where we have the 4-player thing, it just so quickly turns into a troll fest if you try to play that game with other people.
Yeah.
And it's just not, I don't think it captures enough when you have a Super Mario 3D World or a Super Mario 3D Land to like get that same feel, but just enhanced to play it solo. So that's been kind of my experience with them.
Yeah, that's
never really dabbled in Mario Maker though, so I should be clear on that.
It's fun, but
yeah. So I personally played Mario Maker long enough to like understand it, and then I gave it up. I wasn't into the super hard level making or anything like that I think Clay dabbled in for a minute. I played the new Super Mario Bros. About as long enough to jeopardize my marriage a little bit, and then quit playing that. And then I think I played more Super Mario Run enough to delete it from my phone. Like I just was like, this is fine. It's fine. It's
Same.
what I expected it to be.
Same.
It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I played some multiplayer 4-player in New Super Mario Brothers, and it was a total clusterfuck with everyone like jumping off of everyone else's heads,
by design,
and picking
to
them
be
up
fair,
and throwing them and shit. It was ridiculous. So
Yeah,
I see how that could be like an angering game. I played through the main campaign of Mario Maker. It was real good. I played a little bit of like the expert levels and stuff. There are some awesome levels in that game that I just don't want to play, but I enjoy watching other people play them. So shout out to people like Carl Sagan, Mitch Flower Power. There are a bunch of other YouTube creators who make some awesome stuff there. I honestly, when I was filling this out, I forgot Super Mario Run existed, which is funny because I was actually pretty competitive in that game when it first came out.
You loved that game.
Yeah, I played the fuck out of it. And then it's been like Men in Black mind wiped from my brain. So I don't know. Maybe I go back and like try it again. We'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was the first game that I spent U.S. currency on in the App Store.
If I remembering correctly, I thought they took the servers down.
Oh, that would hurt. That would
Dale,
hurt me deeply.
I remember
I lost
you
a thing I didn't know that I loved.
Dale was like borderline spokesperson for that game because that was back when we all worked at Apple, and you would talk about the game in the break room, and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, fine, I'll try it. Then I played it. I was like, what the? It's just an auto runner. Like I don't understand. Like I never got that game. I thought it was fine.
Liked it. I really liked it.
I'm thinking of something different. It seems like it's still alive.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing an event for the launch of the movie. So
I thought, was there another Mario game on there where you like built shit? I don't remember. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. All right. So moving on past those, much to everyone's surprise, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, which also released in 1996, was a huge success, and it would eventually launch the very good Paper Mario series and the handheld Mario and Luigi series. What are your experiences with those games? I'm going to start here because I played a bunch of the Mario and Luigi games, but none of the others. I know that Mario RPG is great and all of that, but by the time I was looking to play them, they were both impossible to find on console, and also the technology had kind of moved past them. So like I went back and I put 10 hours into Super Mario Brothers RPG, and I understand why it's beloved from like a storyline standpoint, but I think it's another case of like you just kind of had to be there, at least for me.
I think that might be fair. So Super Mario RPG also kind of passed me by, but I did play, I think, all of the Paper Mario games to some extent, and I absolutely loved them. I thought that they were great. I think Thousand Year Door, if I recall correctly, the one that we released on GameCube was my favorite. I thought that one was just excellent. Yeah, I mean, I just thought that game was wonderful. But I liked the evolution of like the combat system and where they would take that. Even the one on Wii that kind of went more toward like a classic platformer, I thought was outstanding. So I think those games are really good. The Mario and Luigi games, I think I only played a little bit of like Bowser's Inside Story, but I think that's maybe the only one I played. But the Paper Mario games I thought were great.
Yeah, this is my shit. Like, I loved all of these. Like Super Mario and Luigi Dream Team, fucking fantastic game.
Yeah, great.
Oh no, that's the one I played. I didn't play Bowser's Inside Story. I played Dream Team. Yeah.
Okay. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, enjoyed that one a lot. The Super Mario RPG. Maybe I'm just misremembering this, and this is just nostalgia brain thinking, but for me, other than I guess Final Fantasy VI, where you have like inputs you can do for Sabin, which is one of my favorite characters always. Like, I love Super Mario RPG because it introduced having timing in your in your RPG elements. So when you did your hammer hit, if you did it at the right time, you got a crit. If you did your jump, you could get extra jumps. And I loved that about an RPG game that wasn't just like, I actually had to pay attention in combat rather than just like, okay, I need to choose my skill and let it go. And that has spoken to me. And I've loved any other RPG that has done that since. I love being able to be actively engaged in combat because I feel like the turn-based combat you can turn your brain off at a certain point, and I really enjoyed that. The newest Switch is the only Paper Mario one that I've played. I don't remember, Origami King.
Yep.
And maybe you guys can speak to the other ones more, but it felt a little too easy, which kind of made me sad because I felt like it wasn't really a difficult game at all.
It is nothing like the other games.
Okay. Then I will have to go back and look at the other ones.
From a combat perspective, it's nothing like the other games. I could say that.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
It's a completely different system.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the one with the circular.
It's a puzzle game. Gannon, I would say that if you really liked Super Mario and the Legend of the Seven Stars, you would eat up the early Paper Mario games because they have. Yeah, you should check out Thousand Year Door probably because I do think it probably holds up better than any of the others.
Probably.
This was also my shit. All of these are my shit. So I loved Super Mario RPG when it came out. I didn't beat it at the time. I thought it was really hard when I was a kid, but I did love it. It was just cool to see Mario in a different setting. But also, I've gone back and played Legend of the Seven Stars and beaten it. That game, Dale, I don't think you're wrong in that when you play it, I don't think it's like, Dale, you need to go back and play it. It's a masterpiece. But that's a good game, and it does hold up. Like it really does hold up from the perspective of like, you can be good at that game. You can be bad at that game. You need to pay attention to what you're doing. There's there's strategy in that game. It's well balanced. It's pretty well written. Like I highly recommend it. It's not really that long either compared to a lot of these. However, I love the fucking Mario and Luigi RPG games. I love them.
They're so good.
God, they're so good. They were funny, man. Like, those games are funny as hell. Like they make you laugh, or they made me laugh out loud. I was in college, I guess, it's a long time ago. But I loved Bowser's Inside Story. That was my standout. Probably shortly after that was the Dream Team. I'm going to guess, but I liked all of them, honestly. So yeah, I really did. And then the original Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door. I adore the original Paper Mario, mostly because I've got fond memories of playing that through with my dad. And like just, playing through anything when you're younger with a parent or a cousin or family of any kind. I think that it's a cool memory to have. And that game was just a blast. So I'm a huge fan of Mario RPG shit. I absolutely love it. They've never really missed for me. Other than, I will say, Origami King is probably the weakest entry of all of them. But I wouldn't say it's even an RPG. I really think it's more of a puzzle game than an RPG. I think it's a good game. I just think it's probably at the bottom of the list for me from a mechanics perspective. World building, art direction, graphic design, it's up there. It's a pretty fabulous looking game. It's very adorable. I love the paper mache stuff and all of that. But from I'm going to go back and play one of these games again after I beat it. That's pretty low on the list for me. So
one last thing in the world of Mario RPG, Justice for Gino. Unfortunately, being owned by Square Enix has very limited his ability to come back into the Mario world, and Gino's a fantastic character.
It's true. That's so true. It makes me sad. But yeah, you should go play Super Mario RPG. Give it a shot when you have time. If you're in the mood for an old school RPG, it's not going to take you that long, and I actually think it's a pretty good game.
And I think it's actually included on the Switch Virtual Console for SNES. But somebody keep me honest about that. I may have totally fucking lied.
Sure.
Oh, it is. Super Mario is one of the 21 titles included in the Super NES Classic Edition. I'm going to play that fucking...
Go play that game.
Yeah, when your house is on stilts, go fucking play it.
All right. So there's like a million other things that we could talk about with Mario, but we don't have time. And do you know why? Because it's time for a very special question. A sponsored question. It's sponsored by changing your name. For only like $200 and a couple hours of standing in line and paperwork, it turns out that you can change your name to almost anything you want. With that in mind, it is pretty wild. The main Nintendo mascot's name is Mario. That is an insane name. It is one name twice. What? That's insane. Could you imagine if your name was like Steve? That's crazy. So my question is, can you do better? If you were in charge of Nintendo back when Mario was named, what would you have called him?
So I could go first here. I would have called him Dua Lipa, because when you come to a pit, you do a Lipa.
Oh my God.
I genuinely don't want to release the episode.
That physically hurt me.
I loved it, Brodie.
I sincerely don't want us to ever release this into the public space.
No, the public needs to know.
It doesn't. It
That
really
was a fantastic
doesn't.
joke.
Okay, I've got two people crying and one person on my side. Thanks, Gannon. Appreciate it.
I have a headache.
Yeah, you should. You should have a headache. Okay, so
I mean, my answer isn't much better. It's Biff Nukejaw. Back when I was playing City Heroes, there was a guy whose name was Biff Nukejaw, and I was like, that's the best name of all time. And like, how good would it be if it was like Biff Nukejaw Brothers? Like, great.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Yeah, I mean, I can't really judge Brodie. I didn't write anything down because I can't think of anything. So my answer is I don't know.
Oh, that's not even fun. Just riff something. Come on.
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan.
Harry. His name would be Harry Crapper.
Fuck,
he's
that's
a-
bad.
Because he's a plumber.
He's got hair on his face and he's a plumber and there's shit. All right, fine. All right,
That's
fine.
a really
Dale.
well thought out answer.
Dale, you don't like it? Fine. His name is Harry Shitter. All right. It's a little bit more of an R-rated version of my answer. I initially said I didn't have an answer. Then you pushed me to this point, Dale. Harry Shitter and the Turtle Band.
What?
The Turtle Band because of the turtles, you know?
Oh.
Gannon, please save us.
So my name is Felix Umbridge Dan.
Well played.
Felix is a great name because like I like Felix the cat, and Umbridge is like a good name just because like Umbridge. And then Dan is a great name because Dan's a cool guy. But then his initials would be F.U. Dan. And
So appropriate.
I think it's a good name.
So dumb. I love it. So
Absolutely abysmal.
Felix Umbridge Dan, Biff Nukejaw, Harry Shitter, and Dua Lipa. Those are our answers?
Yeah.
We're gonna publish this episode.
You know what? I think it just goes to show how hard of a job it was, and maybe Nintendo just got it right.
Yeah. Mario is better than all of these for sure. Yeah. So good job.
If you
guys.
have a better suggestion, you can tell us in the Discord.
Please do.
Yeah.
Oh God! When you
Speaking of the Discord, where can people find you?
Fuck you, Brodie. No, Brodie doesn't get to sign off this episode. The bastard. No, you Dua Lipa the fuck out of here. All right. Oh man! You can find me in the Discord. If I'm in the Discord, a senseless guy. Gannon, where can they find you?
To be clear, it's senseless guy, choir boy, or something
Choir
like
boy,
that. I just want to make sure that everyone knows.
It's true. It does say choir boy at the end.
I'm Cankface. I'm in the Discord nightly. You can find me there slaying monsters in some game or another.
Probably me too.
Arborescence.
I'm a 20-sided ninja on Twitch and Twitter and in the Discord. Anywhere a 20-sided ninjas can be found. Holy crap, did this go off the rails? All right. I love you all very much. Thanks so much for listening. Tell your friends, review us on iTunes, go to our webpage. We got a Patreon. Thanks to our Patreons. Thanks to Xando for editing this. All of those people rule. You're all amazing. Love you so much. Anybody got anything else they need to say about Mario?
Oh yeah, I figured it out. Dr. Mario World. That's the one that got pulled from the iOS. Like they stopped their service. There was a Mario game called Dr. Mario World.
All right, cool.
All
That
right.
was a great ending to the show. So everybody,
Great. Everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.